You in this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this will be a piece of cake.
Welcome to the Before Hours podcast, an internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their morning routine, their sleep, life, love, stress, and setbacks, whatever else comes to mind. If you want to write about your morning routine or anything else to the podcast, and I'll read it on the air, do so by writing to the Before Hours podcast at gmail.com. Again, the Before Hours podcast at gmail.com. I'll read it on the air, but for now, we have an awesome guy, a hilarious comedian, and dare I say, a good man.
Yeah.
See, the thing about this podcast is it's hosted by a person that can't talk, which is kind of cool.
Are you kidding? That intro was seamless.
Ooh.
You didn't think that? No, that was really impressive.
Oh, sweetie. Thank you so much.
And at the end of the podcast that you did on my this was not a plug, but I was just saying you recited a Abraham Lincoln speech or part of the speech that was better than the man himself.
Ooh, well, to be fair, we don't have a recording of Abraham Lincoln's
But
speech.
I assume, yeah.
And your name is Ben Kirschenbaum.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Hey,
What's
great
going
to
on,
be
man?
here.
Thanks for coming. I was, so, I mean, we'll do the plugs at the end, but you do have a history-based podcast that I was on last week.
Yes, it was about Lincoln. You didn't just suddenly get into the speech.
Although that's very on brand for me to be talking about Lincoln when it, it's not applicable at all. So, yeah. So I appreciate you coming on. You're from the neighborhood. No, you're from New York, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where are you from?
In Manhattan. I grew up on 93rd and 2nd.
Hell yeah, dude. Just like Woody Allen.
Just like I would see him a good amount. Yeah. He was walking around. No, I'm not kidding.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I know almost nothing about Woody Allen other than the things everybody knows about him.
Have you never seen his movies?
They
make up for a lot because they're really good. I don't want to.
Well, that's the thing is,
Yeah.
okay, so he's accused of some pretty awful stuff, but his movies are really good.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I think you need to already be into an artist before the terrible accusations come out.
Oh, that's an interesting
You know what I mean?
point. Yeah.
Because I'm watching
the ending.
Yeah.
Right.
I know the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm watching like Manhattan,
Sure.
and I'm going like, is this pedophile worthy?
Yeah, that one's not even my favorite pre the accusations. Or I guess, well, accusations happened when I was 3 years old or whatever. But pre, the re-accusation.
What's your favorite Woody Allen movie?
Annie Hall is probably the best.
Yeah.
Which I know is the kind of common answer, but I'll throw out two more. So I think Bananas was the funniest.
Okay.
Because pre-Annie Hall, it's like just going for laughs. And then Crimes and Misdemeanors, I think is the best like straight up drama that he made. So I'll give those three.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think I would be into him. He's like very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
I'm very self-deprecating. So you would see him, you never talked to him though.
I never went up to him now. I don't know. He seemed, not surprisingly, like a loner. He doesn't seem like one of those celebrities who really wants to be addressed.
I've had that scenario. Pre-shooting, I ran into Alec Baldwin.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, shooting, like, is there a famous, are we going back to Lincoln? What's the shooting that?
Yeah, I ran into John Wilkes Booth. Yeah, he was still at Ford's Theater.
Pre-shooting, you know what? I've seen him on the street as well, and he is like a movie star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like big head and just sort of, you get it.
I would, so I don't know if he still lives in this building, but the building next to his, I would walk dogs there. So I had a client, so I would just go into their apartment, and on my way there, I ran into Alec Baldwin on the phone, like on Bluetooth.
Yeah.
And he's having what seemed to be a very serious business conversation.
Oh, I thought you were going to say screaming his daughter.
Yeah. You fucking pig.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, classic Alec Baldwin, dude.
This happens every day.
Yeah. What did he called a reporter a old queen?
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There are two separate instances. He
Right,
called
right,
his
right,
daughter a pig, and he called a gay reporter an old queen, which I'm
Okay.
like, I don't even know if that's homophobic. It's too hokey to be homophobic.
It's one of those, sometimes something gets such an old school type of insult that it's almost just amusing. Yeah.
It's on par with like, go kick rocks.
Yeah. You old queen.
Yeah. Go kick rocks, you old queen. But I don't bother celebrities.
Yeah.
But my eyes just went wide when
Yeah.
it registered who he was, and he kind of like gave me a nod. And it was almost to say like, hello, please don't talk to me.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like, hello, I see you.
Yeah.
You're doing great. Keep going. Yeah. But no, it wasn't that.
I think he has it down to a science, how to handle people.
That makes sense.
Because anybody with like a little bit of emotional intelligence would know, okay, don't go up and talk to him.
Right.
Which I wasn't going to anyway, especially because I'm not like a huge Alec Baldwin fan. Like he's a fine actor.
He's not the guy. Who would be the guy where you would actually be paralyzed?
Ooh, Eminem.
Eminem, okay.
But he is like, doesn't, and I know, because I know everything about him, that he doesn't enjoy fan interaction. So out of respect, I would still probably not say anything.
Right. But maybe you'd be so in awe that you wouldn't even be able to get your words together.
Yeah. And I think I would just enjoy seeing him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I met Bill Burr one time.
That's a big one.
Yeah. And
it's interesting how comedians, other comedians is not as much for me. It's more musicians for sure.
Okay.
Where it's like, those are the people that are like kind of on a cloud. Yeah.
Bill Burr was kind of easy for me because I've heard through the grapevine that he's like a nice person and you can talk to him. So that like the opposite of Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin's like famous for punching paparazzi, I think.
Yeah, but then it's like a challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then if he likes you, he means it.
Have you met a celebrity?
Have I met a celebrity? I've met a few. Living in New York, I just like see a good, not like a ton, but like a good amount. Trying to think if I ever really interacted with one. A little bit with I went to a book signing for Norm Macdonald. That was cool. And so I waited in the line like everybody else and I, said hello to him. I don't think he made a joke or anything like that, but that's a big guy. That, comedy hero. Got to meet him. That story wasn't as good as it was originally in my head.
We're gonna have to cut that out.
I think so. Yeah. That was just dead space for 20 seconds.
Just immediately getting self-conscious that your story about meeting Norm wasn't good.
No, I'm trying to think of a better. I feel like such an idiot that I grew up in a big city. Who was a good celebrity sighting?
I met 50 Cent one time.
50 Cent,
and it was the same situation. It wasn't a book signing. It was a bottle of vodka signing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it. So if you went to, I grew up in in Orange County, New York, which is in the Hudson Valley. 50 miles north of the city for anybody listening. But this was in Rockland County. So it's about halfway between where I was living at the time in New York City. And you could go to this liquor store, and 50 Cent was going to be there. I mean, it was advertised. Like if you go there and you buy a bottle of his vodka, he will sign the bottle for you and take a picture with you.
Were we talking like airplane bottle, or were we talking like?
It was a big bottle.
Okay,
and at the time I was a drinking man, and I will say, folks, you will get fucked up, blackout drunk just from drinking one bottle of his vodka. Yeah.
Man, that's strong stuff. So you drank it. It's not like one of those, because like I would never play baseball with a signed baseball from.
I have the empty bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. A non-alcoholic may have not drank it at all.
Right.
Because I have the empty bottle that I keep telling myself I'm going to fill with colorful sand.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that yet. But
how fun was that, by the way, when you were younger, to fill the colorful sand thing?
Yes.
And then there were some psychos that would like, shake it up at the end of it, and it's like all the work that you did to make it nice and linear. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting to me because I think you and I are both order people. Then
I am. Yeah.
If that struck a nerve with you.
Yeah. No, you saw me tick a little bit. Yeah. I don't know if the camera picked it up, but my left arm just started shaking.
Yeah.
I do like order, which is in terms of organizing your day, which I know is a big theme of the podcast. Not great for a comedian, or doesn't naturally mesh with the life of someone who's always up late and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that was like the catalyst for starting the podcast, because I'm a morning person, and that's like, it's not great for comedy. I don't think, because you don't have the, you can't perform at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. and 5 p.m.
Oh, you can. It doesn't go well, but you absolutely can.
Dude, there's that comedian documentary with Onry Adams. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Where he's like bombing, and not because he's a bad comedian.
I was curious why you introduced it as the one with Onry Adams as opposed to the Seinfeld documentary. It's really, I guess it is more about Adams than it is about Seinfeld in a lot of ways. But I'm sorry.
Well, because the part I think it's because I see myself more in Onry Adams than Jerry Seinfeld.
No, you're more of a Seinfeld. Come on.
Well, our taste in women, maybe, but we're gonna have that as a little bit of a dog whistle for the people that already know.
Is that with a previous episode or something?
No. I mean, people make fun of Jerry Seinfeld for dating an 18-year-old woman.
Oh, well, we started with Woody. We're slowly making our way.
We're making our way up. Yeah, the last person we're gonna mention on the podcast is Keanu Reeves. Yeah, who is gracious enough to date a woman who's only 10 years younger than him.
And actually, at the very end, we're going to talk about famous necrophiliacs. We'll make our way to the end. Yeah.
Famous necrophiliac. I mean, I could only think of Ted Bundy. Who's the other one?
Dahmer? No.
Yes, Ted. And he was a gay necrophiliac. He was breaking down 2 barriers.
Yeah. Like Hidden Figures.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. What were we talking about?
Morning stuff. Oh, you're saying, kind of that stand up you can't do in the afternoon. And then you mentioned Adams.
Mm-hmm. I relate to him because
Orny Adams,
Orny Adams, he is, if you guys, what's the name of the documentary? The Comedian?
I think just Comedian.
Comedian. And it's, they follow like a struggling comic who at the time was Orny Adams, maybe still now. And Jerry Seinfeld, who was already the biggest comedian in the world. And kind of being like, these are 2 comedians at different stages in their life. And Orny Adams does a set, and he's a good comedian, but he was bombing. And I think part of it is because it was in the middle of afternoon, and he opens the door to show the sunlight, and he points at the sunlight and goes, how am I supposed to be funny when the sun's out?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's so true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any show that's not in the basement full of people that are politely drunk is going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah. The show that I run at Tiny Cupboard, by no means is this a plug. It's not a very good show.
Although your next show at the Tiny Cupboard is going to have a very good comedian on the lineup, I've heard.
Are you on the next one? Mm-hmm. When did I book you on that? No, I'm just kidding. Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, you're the greatest. But it's at 5:30, so especially during the summer and spring, it's completely light outside.
Yeah.
And it does give a weird vibe. I don't mind. I think from an audience's perspective, it makes a lot of sense because it's like you do the show and then you have dinner afterwards. Because going at like 7 or 8 kind of gets in the way of dinner plans. But for the comedian, it's just not loose.
Yeah. And when you there's this sense when it's too early that everyone's ready for the next thing.
Right.
Even the comedians on the show sometimes, like you know, there's an energy where you could tell someone's doing their first spot of the night and they have another one.
Oh,
they'd rather be at the other one.
Oh, I have very first spot energy.
Yeah.
Just in life in general.
Okay.
You ever do a casino gig?
No, that sounds awful.
I did one this past weekend. I was at Mohegan Sun in the Poconos, and it actually went okay. But I think I've done Atlantic City stuff, and the bad thing about it is that the show is not the event of the night.
Yeah.
It's not close to the event of the night. It's a way to kill an hour and a half so that you can go gamble and party, as opposed to performing in some random ass town where it's like, you're not only the event of the night, you're the event of the year.
Yeah.
Which is better.
Life is good, man. I can't complain. So now for the first, I really should have timed checking the time, not at the end of your sentence. You're within the first 10 episodes, so I'm still getting used to it.
Oh, so you're supposed to check the time as I'm talking?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Which would necessitate me looking at my phone while you're in the middle of talking, which is also rude.
Yeah.
I'm figuring it all out.
Right. But I get what you're saying. That is better, I think.
Are you a morning person?
No. I mean, I don't get up particularly early. If I have nothing to do in the morning, then I'll probably get up around 9.
Okay.
So I feel like that's, I don't know, not that late, not that early.
Yeah.
I'm pretty groggy in the morning. And then I have a shit ton of coffee throughout the day.
Okay.
But I'm tired all the time.
The two might be related.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah.
Because I get bad sleep, maybe?
Because I've gone back and forth on how I feel about caffeine, but some people say as far as 10 hours before bed, you shouldn't have any.
10 hours before. Oh, I'm breaking that rule big time.
Yeah.
Like not even close. Yeah. No, but I've definitely gotten to the point where I don't know if I've become like immune to it or whatever it is. Like I can take a nap immediately after drinking a cup of coffee easily.
That's crazy to me. I have done the thing if I'm taking a nap that you're supposed to do is you drink cup of coffee or caffeinated, whatever, and then you go to sleep, and then it takes a half hour for the caffeine to hit your system.
Yeah.
So you're waking up from your nap right as the caffeine is doing.
Oh, that's smart. Okay. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Dude.
Is that like well, Italians always have coffee at the end of a meal, right? Like
So that's that is an Italian thing in my family, in my extended family, like after Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, after dinner and with dessert, everyone's drinking coffee.
Yeah.
And I feel like almost cucked because I want to, but I know I'm too sensitive to caffeine. If I drink coffee when it's dark out, I will have trouble falling asleep that night.
And you feel cucked by the Italians, or is it? Oh no, wait! This is nothing to do.
Has nothing to do with these. Believe me, there are no Italians in my family. But it's
because they would cuck the shit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you made sure of that.
I actually don't think I've ever fucked an Italian woman. Isn't that weird? Should I start?
Should you start? I'm trying to think if I ever did. I don't think I did either.
Mm-hmm. I have actually slept with a lot of Jewish women, but it's not it's not that I have a fetish, Ben.
Yeah,
it's that.
Why'd you think I'd be a fan? My initial reaction was to feel flattered.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. But now that you put it in my head, it's just some strange fetish. Yeah.
It's more so they like me, and I think it's because I'm on the dating apps as a comedian in New York City.
Sure.
So I think
I could see that. What number? How many are we talking?
Well, my only serious relationship was with a Jewish woman.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually funny. The first time, actually, within a few dates, she was asking me if I've ever been with a Jewish woman before, and I was like, yes, several. And she was like, almost a little like, ah,
you want to be the first? Yeah. I can see that.
It's funny because you're not supposed to like. I've seen enough women comedians of various ethnicities be like, it's so cringy when someone's like, I've never been with an Asian woman before. I've never been with a black woman before. But I have had that experience more than once when they're like, have you hooked up with such and such ethnicity that I belong to? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, like they're a little disappointed.
So I think they just don't like that you have sex. Is that the idea?
Maybe.
They don't like, or no. They don't like the no and they don't like the yes, you're saying.
No. I'm saying,
yeah.
I've had that conversation with more than one Jewish woman where they're like, am I the first one?
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, nah. That happened with a Latin. By the way, I've
had
sex,
of a silly question living in New York City and being a comedian. Going back to what you said before, probably not.
There was this woman. By the way, I have sex like maybe twice a year, so this is making me sound like a Casanova. But I had sex with a Latina woman, and she was the most disappointed of all of these situations. She was like, "You ever been with a Latina woman before?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah." Which I'm a fucking idiot. I should just lie. Because we were about to fuck, and she's like, "You ever been?"
So that's the answer they want. They want that they're the first of whatever ethnicity.
I guess so.
Yeah,
in my experience.
Yeah, you should just keep going. You should be like, "No, I've never had sex before.
I've
never spoken. You're the first woman I've ever spoken to."
I'm really nervous about losing my virginity right now. That's hilarious, dude. I've never had sex with a virgin, and now it's too late. You know what I mean?
We're going back to Woody. Yeah, no.
Unless like obviously if she's a virgin because she's
like a recently just left the nunnery type thing.
Yeah. Or like left the nunnery or like a Mennonite or Amish or something.
Okay, that's something.
Like maybe like she's taking her Rumspringa in her late 20s, early 30s. Then I think it's okay.
Yeah, that's hot. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the only. So you never took a woman. So you had the person that you lost your virginity to had already had sex.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's the common experience for men because women have sex younger than men.
Oh, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my case, yes, I lost my virginity to a woman who definitely had sex before. Had sex with my friend before. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She was like, I'll take care of you both.
Yeah, no, she wasn't like a prostitute, but
you joke, but I have more than one friend that lost their virginity to a prostitute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and now they're doing fine.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's how you got to get the one out of the way.
Yeah.
So, if this isn't too personal,
please.
What was? Please.
Let's get to it.
Please, let's get so personal.
Yeah.
Was it a good experience losing your virginity? I always ask people how they lost their virginity, unless I'm online to get coffee or whatever.
Unless what?
Unless I'm online to get coffee.
Sure. You got to pass the time somehow. Oh no, you're saying that's the one time you don't do it.
Yeah, it's the one time I don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, you gotta. You're too tired. You gotta get your coffee. I think that it was an okay experience. Mm-hmm. So I went to a college.
With a woman.
It was first and last. So I went to a college that didn't have fraternities, but my best friend was like a very fratty college. So I went there to visit my sophomore year of college, so I should say, but kind of late to lose it, right? Sophomore year of college?
Well, as someone that lost their virginity this summer between sophomore and junior year of college.
Oh, look at me. All right, great.
And say no.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know guys as tall as you could lose their virginity that late.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get it up. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff. But it was at a frat party. It was like it wasn't public, obviously, but it was like not behind a closed door type thing. And I don't mean that as like because it was to make it sound hot. It was just that's just how it went, I guess. You're
not a turn off the lights and close the door, but for what we don't love these whores. You're not that type of guy.
No, I am that type of guy. And that's really beautiful. But that was great. I am that guy. But in this particular case, I think I was just so eager to finally lose my virginity that it was just like,
you just want to get it
just
over.
Whatever. With. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you come right away or not at all?
I came right away-ish. Mm-hmm. I've done worse post, but it wasn't long, but I don't think it was like insanely short.
Yeah.
Good 45 seconds at least. It was,
that's good for now.
Yeah, right.
45. I mean, if you think about it, like the function of sex on a biological level is to dump your seed as fast as possible before the tiger eats you.
I feel like you've given this speech before.
Like actually from a biological standpoint, it's actually really good that I come right away.
Yeah, that's great.
And actually from a biological standpoint, I should be having sex with like multiple women. So like you shouldn't be mad at me or your sister. Yeah. I was the reason I asked did you come right away or not at all is because I feel like most people come right away. And some people like me were so nervous that they couldn't come at all.
That makes sense. Both scenarios make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I actually think, right. I think you're actually, if you're able to come quickly, that makes you a little less nervous because you're actually in the moment a little bit more. If you're not coming at all, it's like you're totally in your head and all that stuff.
Totally 100% in my head. And I was like, I don't even think this is how stupid like some young people are in the way that they think about sex is that we fucked. And then I didn't come, and then I worried, do I still have my virginity or not? As if like a government agent is going to come by
but that's
for the
very
census.
common. That's very, very common. The answer, of course, is that, it does count as sex. Well, but then you go back to, what is it, Amish? No, Mormon. The soaking, right?
Oh, soaking. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, but you'd still have sex because they consider sex moving back and forth, right?
We did quite a bit of moving, folks.
All right. 45 seconds of moving. And then you gave her the little Darwin speech.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah, no, that definitely counts. But I feel like maybe it's more of a guy thing than a woman thing. The whole like, does it count or not?
Yeah. I don't know if women think I didn't orgasm, therefore it didn't happen.
I don't think they think about it much. No.
Otherwise, the average woman would have had sex like what, 2 or 3 times?
It's insane if a tree falls in the woods scenario.
As an adult, I've hooked up with more than one woman. Full stop. That's the end of the sentence.
Of course.
No, where she goes, just so you know, I'm not going to come at all. And I'm like, I mean, we could try. She's like, meh, it's not going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's like a protest or?
Yeah, it's a sex strike like they did in Sierra Leone.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Sierra Leone, by the way, I am an anthropologist, so do not look this up.
Okay.
Do not fact check this. Everything that I say on the podcast that I like heard about vaguely years ago is 100% true.
Yeah.
So
Sierra Leone.
There's might have also been Liberia. So Africa somewhere.
Yeah.
There was a civil war, and then the women went on a sex strike because they're like, our dudes are like killing each other for no reason, and if we don't fuck them, they'll stop killing each other, and it fucking worked.
I might out nerd you for a second.
Ooh.
I believe that's based off of an ancient Greek play.
Oh,
called Lysistrata. Do you fact check me on that.
No. This is a no fact check podcast. Jamie.
Oh, don't fact check me on
Jamie,
that.
do not pull it
I
up.
believe the Liz Estrada is the name of the play where they go on a sex strike because the guys won't stop fighting.
Ah.
So maybe the people in Sierra Leone were basing it off that, or maybe the Liz Estrada thing was based off something else.
Or maybe I heard this old Greek myth and
somehow transported it to West Africa. I'm not sure.
It's possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Damn, dude, look at you. Well, I'm not surprised that you know a history thing because we know a lot about history.
I like history.
You like
I
Lincoln? We're
like
both
history.
gay for Lincoln, dare I say?
Both very gay for Lincoln, like Joshua Speed. That's a deep cut.
Old Josh. But now that I think of it, as I'm trying to marry the two concepts together, Abraham Lincoln and morning routine. Do we know was Abraham Lincoln a morning person?
Who is was it Washington or Franklin that was the early to bed, early to rise?
That's Franklin.
That was
Benjamin
Franklin. Okay.
Yeah.
Lincoln, I don't know. All I know is that he was a workaholic and probably didn't sleep much at all.
Yeah.
There was stories of him by the candlelight to 2 a.m. type thing, just reading.
I think he was if memory serves, he was like he sometimes couldn't sleep because he was anxious. About the Civil War or whatever.
Yeah, my anxieties. I can't sleep either because of anxiety, but it's so much less important.
Yeah. What keeps you up at night?
Well, the Civil War, because it was terrible and the deadliest war in American history. But keeps me up at night. Mainly career stuff. Is that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. That I think that's in terms of my anxieties, but sometimes anxiety is a fucking bitch and it just sort of, you don't even know why it's hitting you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I also have pretty bad hypochondria, which I didn't have when I was younger, but I developed it more when I was like, I don't know, in my 20s. So sometimes I do a little thing starts to hurt or feels weird. And then it's just a vicious cycle of like throat tightening up and all that stuff. Doesn't happen that often, but when it happens, it's rough.
Okay. Hypochondria. That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do you think brings that up?
I don't know. Death is very very scary. So I feel like that,
So it's more like a preventing death thing. I mean,
Maybe.
we all want to prevent death.
Yes. I don't know. For some reason, so recently I convinced myself that I had a shellfish allergy, which I've eaten shellfish my whole life. My mom has a shellfish allergy, so maybe that's where it sprang from. And I think I once read on Google that you can develop an allergy for shellfish. And I was in New England. I had some calamari or something like that. I felt a little tickle in my throat, but for the next hour or 2 hours, it was just sweat dripping panic that my throat was closing up, which doesn't make sense because if you need like an EpiPen, I'm pretty sure it happens within the first few minutes. And then if you survived 5 minutes, you're fine.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do?
Yeah. A former roommate of mine had such a bad salmon allergy or salmon, as it were.
Yeah.
For our international listeners. Or if you're just very pretentious. But
sure. Salmon Chase, back to Lincoln.
Oh, dude. But fuck Salmon Chase with like a million penises.
Listen, it's not that big of a tangent. It's really very related to your friend's salmon allergy.
Dude, I mean, we went off, and you'll plug your podcast at the end, but I think I made a face when you mentioned Salmon Chase.
Yes.
Salmon Chase.
No, you didn't. Sorry, I want to get back. I want to get back to your friend, but you made two faces. If your audience members know who these pretty obscure people are, one was for General McClellan. Okay, and then the other one was for Edwin Stanton. Yeah, Secretary of War. Yeah,
but Edwin Stanton, Secretary of War under Lincoln. I will say I want to rescind that face.
Okay,
because I feel like he was kind of a dick. But in a way, like, I think he simped for the Union in the way that Lincoln did.
He was actually like a pretty good guy. I think he was just like moody and crotchety, but I think overall he like came from a good place.
And Salmon Chase, I think, was a little bit more Machiavellian.
For sure.
And just was not nice to Lincoln.
No. And that's personal.
And he apparently hated that his name was Salmon or Salmon or whatever. Because he was like, I'm named after a fucking fish. How am I going to be president? I'm never going to be president. And he was right.
Yeah, he was totally right. And he had a shot, but the fucking salmon thing got in the way. So wait, tell me about your friend before I made...
because he doesn't have a shellfish allergy, but he has an allergy to salmon. So much so that one day I bought salmon and he...
just couldn't even look at it.
He was a very nice, agreeable roommate, never Never had any reasonable requests, but he was like, "Hey man, I'm deathly allergic to salmon."
Wow.
And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll cook it when you're not home." He's like, "You got to throw it out." And he's like, I'll pay you, but you got to throw it out.
Oh, okay.
Like put it in a garbage can and put it outside."
Right.
And he's like, "'Cause I'll die."
Oh my God.
That's how allergic he is.
Did he pay?
I didn't make him do that.
Yeah, that's probably the right thing to do.
But yeah, can you imagine? But then I bought a really cheap protein powder, and I just happened to check the ingredients, and it had, this is bizarre, one of the ingredients was salmon.
What?
Yeah.
That's gross.
And then so actually tastes fine, but yeah, this is kind of weird. And I was like, "Hey, does it matter that's in my protein powder?" He's like, "LOL, yeah, so sorry, it does."
Oh no. You still live with him?
No,
he died.
Not because.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Let's just say he's allergic to salmon, and now he's swimming with the fishes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No. Shout out to J Dog, dude. I had to, once I became a professional comedian, aka quit my day job.
Yeah.
I, wouldn't you know that at that exact moment, I also needed to live at a cheaper place.
When you became a professional comedian?
When I became a professional comedian.
Yeah, no, that's a rite of passage. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you had to leave the salmon guy.
I had to leave the salmon guy. And now I have two guys that are, neither of them are allergic to salmon.
Oh, healthy.
And they have pet birds.
They have what?
Pet birds.
You live with pet birds?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's your pet now, too.
I suppose so. By the way, they don't have names, apparently, which I found a little strange.
The birds don't have names?
The birds don't have names. I asked one of my new roommates, I was like, what are the birds' names? And he goes, "Oh, well, one of them is Bobby." And I was like, "I'm Bobby." He goes, "Oh, right. Sorry. That's not one of their names." So he confused me for one of the birds.
I thought he panicked.
Or that.
He never named them. He just looking around the room.
So I've taken it upon myself to name the birds Lincoln and Grant.
Oh, that's adorable.
But one is green and one is white. Which one is which?
I'm going to say Lincoln Green, Grant White.
Why so?
Order that you said it.
Okay. That's a good reason as any, dude. My
Did you have a reasoning?
Well, Lincoln and Grant are like two presidents that I sent before.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna name the birds after
no, I get why you wanted to name them that, but I'm saying why Lincoln is the white one and why Grant is the green one.
Oh, no idea.
Okay.
Yeah. No. By the way, my name was supposed to be Tara.
Tara, like Gone with the Wind? Is that what the
Gone
reference
with
is?
the Wind.
Okay.
That was, my mom was a big fan of Gone. No.
Is that not what it was?
My mom always liked
Tara Reid? How old are you?
I think Tara Reid's a little older than me.
Yeah.
Which means she's in her mid 30s. But
that's gross.
Yeah. But my mom always liked the name Sarah.
Okay.
And it's not a family name or anything. She thinks Sarah is a pretty name. And she married my dad.
Yeah.
And they had sex.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
I'm
cool,
listening.
huh?
Yeah.
It's pretty okay, so first they did missionary.
Right.
So my mom gets pregnant with me and she wants to name me Sarah, but as you know, my last name is Sheehan.
Sarah Sheehan.
Yeah,
okay.
so she didn't like an
SS.
alliterative name. Yeah, she didn't want me.
Oh, hey, wow. Yeah. Okay.
The SS is too sacred, you know. That's so she's like, I don't want an alliterative name. So instead of Tara Sheehan, it's going to be instead of Sarah Sheehan, it's going to be Tara Sheehan.
This is if you were a girl.
Well, I guess the sonogram person, it was their first day.
Right.
Because they told my mom and dad that they were having a girl. My dad says it's because my penis was so small.
Sure.
Which doesn't even, I was a fetus. Of course my penis is going to be small, Dad. It doesn't even make sense structurally.
Yeah, but it feels like it would be really small. Yeah.
So, they even started painting my room pink.
Okay.
And then I was born early too. I fucked everything up, Ben.
Yeah.
I was born super early.
With a tiny cock. Yeah.
Born early with a tiny cock.
Right.
It almost sounds like
That's not a bad memoir. That's not yeah.
It's either a memoir or like a Bruce Springsteen song.
Right. Yeah. No, he's definitely running out of titles. You just pitch it to him.
Born early, parentheses, with a tiny cock.
Yeah. And people don't realize that it's actually a protest song. They just come out to it.
So I was born.
Yeah.
And I was born early, premature. Kind of a crazy story. My mom's water broke, and so they called an ambulance.
Sure.
And all
this time they're thinking you're a girl.
All this time I'm
Tara in their back pocket.
And it probably makes sense. Like, oh, someone's inconvenienced me. Obviously, it's a woman.
I see.
You know? So,
but they thought it well before.
Yes.
Okay.
Basically until the moment they saw me.
Right.
Where everyone was like, "Oopsie daisy." Apparently, actually,
because you came out with this throbbing hog. Yeah.
Well, it was small during the ultrasound.
Sure.
But then
it was so big that the ultrasound can't pick it up.
That's what it was, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hell yeah, dude! I came out with I was 3 pounds 13 ounces.
No, they assumed it was the umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the nurses were like, "Oh my god, it's so big!" Like they were turned on by the size of my big
flush.
baby penis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But conflicted about those feelings because I'm a baby, but I have the penis of a man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was a boy. And
shout out to the essential workers.
Shout out to the essential workers. Honestly, Patterson, New Jersey, St. Joseph's Hospital.
Okay.
Shout out to the NICU nurses at St. Joseph's. If any of you guys are listening, you can subscribe to the Patreon for free. I don't know what I'm doing. So I forgot why I even brought this up.
True. They have to pay like everyone else.
They have to pay like everyone else. Okay. You're not special. You are special. I take that back. But yeah. So I was born and surprise, I was a man.
Right.
And so a man baby.
Right.
Baby man.
Yeah, I wasn't Benjamin, but
no, you're Benjamin though.
I'm Benjamin.
You're a different guy. So they were like, we have to name him not Tara because they didn't want it to be like a boy meets a boy named Sue situation. So they named me after both of my grandfathers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Robert Thomas. Those are both my grandfathers.
Oh, I thought it was some sort of portmanteau. I thought you were like, okay, got it. Yeah,
no, it was just
they were both named Robert.
One was named Robert, one was named Thomas. My middle name is Thomas.
Oh, I thought that one was named Rob and the other was Ert. Or something. I thought it was
Rob and Bert.
Yeah. Okay, got it. And what you're saying makes much more sense.
Robert, and it's one guy named Rob and another guy named Bert. I think we have to write that sitcom, dude.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So yeah, and I was named after both grandparents, but the dead guy got the first name. Because I had a dead grandpa and a live grandpa.
I thought that was a Jewish thing. No, it's not?
No.
I mean, it is a Jewish thing, but it's not exclusively a Jewish thing.
The Jewish, I like that I'm explaining the Jewish thing.
Yeah, please. Well, you've dated. You've had sex with several.
I'm honestly, my friend Mark jokingly calls me the Eminem of Jews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Eminem has like all of his friends are black.
Right.
All my friends are Jews.
Yeah, makes sense.
The problem with that though is like you can't convert to being black, but you could just convert to being Jewish.
It's hard though. It's a hard process.
And I'm a secular person, so I can't convert to secular Judaism.
No, you can't write to cultural Judaism.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
That would
like, listen, I don't believe in God, but I'm very anxious.
That's not a sitcom, but that's a sketch. Yeah. Yeah, you just list your credentials. And then it's at the end, it's your tightest 5 minutes.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I'm like, listen, I'm not I have no connection to God or the Old Testament, but I am trying to make it in comedy.
Yeah. I think we'd welcome you in.
Yeah.
I would.
How did you get your name?
I think that, you know what? My Hebrew name or my middle name is from a great grandfather who I never met. But Benjamin, I think it's similar to your parents with Sarah. I think they just like the name, which is for both of our parents. Like it's a pretty, usually you think if you really love a name, it's a little more off the beaten path. I mean, Sarah and Benjamin are pretty much as, normal as it gets.
Yeah, they're not special. This is where the Jewish part of the conversation came because I'm named after both grandparents, one of whom was alive and one of whom was dead. So to give more deference to the dead person, I got the dead person's first name. But
he doesn't even get to appreciate
to appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Judaism, is it that it's bad luck to name the baby after someone that's still alive?
No, I think it's more keeping I think it's more like keeping the tradition alive and they live on in you type thing. Or maybe it's bad luck. I don't know. Maybe it's just we don't want to have this guy drop dead.
To me, it's almost like I like Judaism because it feels very practical.
Okay.
Which is not like an adjective you apply to like religion, like de facto. You know what I mean? But like the thing about like not eating pork, like some anthropologists are like, it's actually because eating pork was dangerous back then. You know? Yeah. So I'm laughing thinking about like, they're like, listen, if we have two Bens in the family, it's going to get confusing. So you can't name somebody after somebody unless they're dead.
Yeah, maybe it was that. You're right. I think you're right about the practical thing. Because also you think about, I mean, I know this is true for all Judeo-Christian religions, but like for Jews, all we've got is the Old Testament. And the main underpinning is the 10 Commandments, which is very practical. I mean, those are like, here are 10 rules, as opposed to Christianity, which is more like do unto others, is a little more vague, right? So maybe that is more of our thing. Yeah.
I have this theory that Jesus would have been a great lawyer, not just because he's Jewish,
right? Yeah.
But he
Christ in Christ,
in Christ. And then his grandfather takes it over, so it's Christ in Christ.
Yeah.
And then there's Jesus H. Christ Esquire, but it's a separate guy.
Of course. Yeah.
But there's a story in the Bible where the Pharisees. Are you familiar with the Pharisees?
No.
The Pharisees are they are the head guys in Judaism at the beginning of the first century.
Got it.
So they they were kind of like judges because like Israel was under the Roman Empire, but they kind of let Israel do their own thing. So like you didn't want to piss off the Pharisees basically. Okay. And the Pharisees and Jesus like constantly had beef according to the Bible. And they would try to like trick him. So they went up to him one time and they were like, should you work on the Sabbath? Because he was like preaching on the Sabbath, which is work. And they were like, are you working on the Sabbath? And he goes, fuck, I don't think I'm going to get this 100% right. So I'm going to have to paraphrase it. He said, well, I'm not here to go along with the law. I'm here to fulfill the law. And it's almost like this weird riddle where they were just like, okay, Jesus, we're going to try again later.
Yeah, very confusing. Yeah. And he spoke in parables in general, right? Yeah, no, it's you got to interpret it.
So it's I think it's very funny because it's almost like, do you know who my father is? Because he's like, I don't listen. The laws are for everybody else, but I've come to fulfill the law.
Right. I
really like that a lot. And the more famous story is the Pharisees. They gather an adulterer into the town square, and they go, Jesus, you're like Mr. Compassionate, but the Old Testament rule. They didn't call it the Old Testament back then, but they said,
just the Testament.
We got a stoner. So what do we do? And he's kind of fucked because if he says, go ahead and stone her, he's not gentle Jesus, meek and mild. But if he says, don't stone her, then he's like negating the biblical laws. So he instead says like, let he who is without sin
cast the first stone.
The first stone.
Okay.
Isn't it weird how many expressions come from like one dude?
Oh yeah. No, he has a bunch. He's like The Office.
Yeah.
But
dude, all of the early Christian scholars are just basically like white girls on Tinder.
Yeah, just a lot of good quotes. Wait, did the Pharisees, not to get into that, but is the Pharisees, were they the ones that said when it was between Jesus and another guy to get crucified, were they the ones that were like, kill Jesus?
I think that was the Jews in general, according to the gospel.
So that's not specifically the Pharisees.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right. I think so the only historical record we have is that the Romans executed a guy named Jesus.
Right.
But the Bible, the New Testament, the gospel says that the
just one of the gospels, right? Is it all four that say it?
I don't know. Actually, It was enough gospels to cause anti-Semitism from then until the present
that
day.
Only takes one. Yeah, that only takes. I don't know if it's John or Matthew, whatever.
My fucking favorite. Well, it's not necessarily a fun fact, but So you're
during the Holocaust.
Actually, even further than that, the Inquisition, which wasn't a fun time for the Jews either.
Sure.
But there was this idea in the Middle Ages during the Inquisition that redheads were Jews, which is not true.
Some are.
Some are.
Yeah.
But for, if you were in Spain in the Middle Ages, enough people were ignorant to see someone with red hair and go, that is a Jewish person, full stop.
Yeah.
The reason being is that the apostle Judas, do you know Judas?
Unfortunately. Yeah. Sure.
So for those unfamiliar, Jewish allegedly portrayed Jesus. And because people are so fucking stupid, they're like, Judas, Jews? And that's not how it works at all.
Was that actually a thing? No.
Yeah. People back then were like, Judas.
Well, they were all Jewish.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, sure.
But so were the 11 good apostles.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
But so anyway, like for the Middle Ages, Judas was thought to represent like the Jews in the New Testament, and because they wanted to make Judas as ugly looking as possible in like artwork, and during that time period, I hate to say this, made Judas a ginger. So just red hair, red like the devil.
Okay, devil. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So then fucking in the Middle Ages, people saw paintings of Judas.
Right.
He represents all Jews and he has red hair. Therefore, lots of gingers getting killed in the Inquisition.
Oh, well, way to make the Inquisition about you.
This is what I say when I'm trying to get onto shows. I'm like, listen, if you're looking for, you got to have at least one redhead on your lineup. We've been through enough.
You're being taught the Inquisition, and it's like, a lot of hundreds of innocent Jews died. You're like, okay. And then they're like, also some non-Jewish redheads that you're like, what the fuck? Yeah.
I've actually experienced that as someone that went to Catholic school. Because in Catholic school, they literally told us Catholics died in the Holocaust too, which is like, anytime you're going, even if you're like, oh, the gypsies, it's like, okay, are you an advocate for gypsies, or you just want to be like, it wasn't, let the Jews complain about the Holocaust too much. You know what I mean?
With that stuff, not to get too serious, but with that stuff, I kind of go back and forth because there's that interpretation, which I totally understand, where it's like, oh, you're trying to steal our Holocaust thunder. But then there's also the, a lot of Muslims died, or a lot of Catholics died, or a lot of gypsies died.
Yeah.
And so as a opportunity for empathy, that's great. But the other way is, it's annoying.
Yeah, it depends on your reasoning. For,
where you're actually coming
what's
from.
the intent behind it? And also, it's just straight up not true about the Catholics thing. I mean, there were Catholics that went to the Holocaust into the camps, but because they wouldn't play ball politically. So there were like Catholic priests that were like, their conscience, their interpretation of theology led them not to play ball in Nazi Germany. But there were other Catholic priests that did play ball.
Right. And Hitler in general was kind of anti-religion. So, I mean, same with the Soviets. But no, you wouldn't obviously go because you're Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah. And so do you have a morning routine?
Morning routine.
Straight up, no segue.
No. I'm going to connect it. Don't worry about it. Usually get up, coffee. If I don't have, so the other thing I do other than comedy is I tutor kids, which makes my day pretty loose. Tutor kids usually during the school year between like 4 and 7, 4 and 8, maybe something like that. And then hopefully you have a show or 2. No, 1. But I get up, go to the gym. I work out every day.
Hell yeah.
Not intensely, but break a sweat-ish, maybe like 30 minutes a day. I used to be like insanely into working out, and then it was like too much.
Yeah.
But I work out every day. I try to get some writing done, stand up usually. I also have a writing partner that I work on some other projects, so we'll meet probably once or twice a week. And tutoring stuff and stand up. Is that a full day? Have I forgotten
That is
about things?
I'm tired just listening to it.
You think so?
Yeah.
I try reading. Oh, and then also for my podcast, there's a lot of like research and editing and stuff like that. So I'll work on that sometimes.
Yeah, your podcast, I was impressed with the amount of research that you did.
Yeah. But in all fairness, so my podcast, you choose a different person every time, and Lincoln was who Bobby chose, and that's my guy. I mean, Lincoln. So I had some knowledge going into it, and then I added on.
Was there ever a historical person that I guess has chosen where you're like, fuck, I don't know anything about this person?
Yeah, people who haven't even heard the name.
Okay.
Absolutely.
What was the most obscure one?
Noor Khan.
I don't know who that is.
She was a
That's why.
Muslim Indian Muslim Indian woman who went to England and was a spy and hero during World War II for the French. Oh no, well, for the English, but she was in France. And she died. It was a tragic story. She died in Dachau, but still, it was amazing. Shit. Yeah.
That is.
But I'd never heard of her.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy how sort of like arbitrary history is, in that you could have like such an interesting, unique, tragic life. And consequential too. I mean, I'm sure it sounds like she was like essential to the effort, and it's just kind of like, I mean, some of it might have been
she's got like a street named after her. You know, like there's some remembrance, and the people, you know, I was about to say the people who know her, but I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah,
but
you'd say that about anybody.
Yeah, you really could. But yeah, total hero, and we know a lot more about, well, bad people, but we also know about other people who didn't contribute as much.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. It's this weird thing. Like less people know about her than know about like, fucking, I don't know, Paris Hilton.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's so arbitrary.
Or the other one. Who's the other one?
Oh, Nicole Richie.
Nicole Richie. People know Nicole Richie over Noor Khan. Paris Hilton, fine. But yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Excuse me. So the working out thing, every day, that's great. I work out every day too.
Yeah. You look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was fishing for a compliment, folks.
No, not at all. And you've got the arm is like got a nice angle with the camera. Right?
I have good arm genetics.
Are you righty or lefty?
I'm a righty.
Okay.
But sometimes I switch hit, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but stranger when you jack off with the non-dominant hand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I think I have good arm genetics, but I will say shitty fucking shoulder genetics. I mean, I don't look disproportional, but I feel like so I do. Are you strength training normally, or do you cardio?
Actually, I mainly do cardio. I used to, but or I don't know. My friend who was super into exercise at the end of college got me into like some CrossFit-y things. I never went to the actual places, but it was those type of like high intensity workouts that are a little bit of cardio, a little bit of strength. And I did some weight stuff, but now I go on the stationary bike for 30 minutes or maybe like every once in a while I'll do some weight stuff. But
yeah,
I think it's largely to affect my mood.
Interesting. Okay.
And I think that cardio does more of the endorphin thing for me as opposed to weight training. And it has gotten to the point where if I exercise in the morning, I feel fine. And if I don't, I feel awful.
Oh, yeah.
Which is probably not great. It's like almost like a drug or something like that. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm sort of the same way. And I have heard the addiction comparison before, but I also think it's that our modern life is so far removed from like what's healthy. Like a lot of us like sit around more than I think was ever possible to sit around before. So I think it could be like just working out every day gives your like caveman brain the amount of like activity that it craves.
Yeah.
You know,
you are into anthropology. That's very cool. Yeah. You like because a few references, even the stuff that you were saying about the seed and the that counts, right? Is anthropology?
I think so. I think I'm a jack off of all trades. Ooh, what a silly pun. But yeah, I do like mostly. Oh, sorry, I distracted myself. So I do mostly strength training, and I try to do 12 repetitions, 4 sets. So 4 sets of 12, and I try to make my 4th set to failure. So a perfect Like if I'm doing a shoulder exercise, I want to do 3 reps close to failure, or I'm sorry, 3 sets close to failure. And then my 4th one, I like to not get to 12. So that I timed it perfectly if I fail at like 9, 10, or 11.
Okay.
And the reason I talk about good arm genetics but shitty shoulder genetics is because I've been working out for years, and doing that, I cannot do the shoulder press higher than 35 pounds.
35.
And I'm an adult man.
Is that really bad?
It's really low. Because the machine only goes
you're light.
like 135.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean light like you're strong, but you're proportional. But.
Yeah. Okay. So even though like you don't do a lot of strength training, you would probably be able to do more weight than me just because of your height and frame, I feel like.
Maybe. I think I'm pretty weak.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I think I look a little better than my actual weakness.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once had a personal trainer for one session. No, for one session. It came with the gym membership, just to clarify. And he said to me, he was kind of a weird guy. And he said, I know what you want. What your goal is. No, it wasn't like a sexual thing.
I thought that was the weird part.
No, that was at the end. But he was like, you want to be the guy. It was after like talking to me for a minute. So there's no way he could possibly know what my goals were.
Yeah.
He's like, you want to be the guy who is really strong and could kick anyone's ass, but no one knows it. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, that's kind of the exact opposite of what I want to look good.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like, I mean, the implication there was like, you don't care about how you look, but you want to be very strong.
I wonder if that's like his vibe and it's what he knows.
But he looked insane. I mean, he looked like pumping iron. So I don't know what, I think he was like trying to predict who I was. And I'm like, I think you got it way, way, way off.
See, that's very strange to me because I've also had one free personal training session. This was in college.
Right.
And the guy straight up was like, so what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And I felt so silly because like now I wouldn't care because the goal 100% is vanity, like hypertrophy.
Absolutely.
Like I want to look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it basically means I want to make my muscles as big as I can make them without using steroids. You know what I mean? Because I think based on my unqualified ability to do Reddit research, well, I do Reddit research, but I also do like Wikipedia research.
Wikipedia is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like the only people that get quote unquote too bulky are our friends that are taking a little bit of vitamin S, if you know what I'm saying.
Is that true?
I think so. Yeah. I think because if you look at like natural bodybuilders, like there are did you just look down to see if you were a natural bodybuilder?
No, I was looking down at sweat. Yeah. I've had a puddle on I don't know, I should have addressed it. But
dude, I sweat constantly. And it's not even that hot out today, but I feel like I'm always sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you 2 things. One is jacked comedians.
Ooh.
Because we do something where being jacked is either not helpful or maybe even a detriment to look extremely good. Kind of take that back because there are a few jacked comedians that are extremely successful. But it's not a profession where you need to train.
Yeah.
Do you think that what's the motivation? Just looking good in front of on a stage or
looking good off the stage?
Looking good off the stage.
In fact,
yeah.
Do you know Steven Hofstetter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of him. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never met him either, but I know of him. And if people aren't familiar with the name, you probably know his face because he was one of the first guys to post like not even crowd work
comedian
clips,
destroys
because he would get heckled
a
lot. In fact, if memory serves me, he would he said himself, I get heckled a lot because I have like an unlikable presence on stage. I've heard Kurt Metzger say the same thing. Where he's just like, people sort of, I annoy a percentage of people, so they want to yell at me.
Yeah, there are people who get up there and they're guilty until proven innocent kind of thing. Yeah.
So anyway, he had all these comedian owns heckler clips, and it was before I even started doing comedy. He would post on Reddit like his comedy tips. And so I just read them because why not? That's how I learned about the light.
You mean the light to tell you that you got a minute left? Oh, pretty.
I feel like I was so prepared to do my first open mic because I read these Stephen Hofstetter comedy rules.
But these are like really practical ones.
Practical.
Going back, it's like Jewish. Yeah.
Don't run the light. He said, don't run the light. It's more important than being funny. And don't.
I don't know about that.
But he said, don't be sexy on stage. And if memory serves, the two examples he gave, if you're a man, don't wear tight t-shirts that accentuate your muscles. And if you're a woman, don't show cleavage.
So this is pre Matt Rife being the biggest comedian in the world. Yeah.
But I feel like Matt Rife might struggle. I think he's doing, this has been talked about, I'm sure before, but like he's doing well because women are attracted to him and they like watching him on social media, possibly while they're masturbating.
You think so?
I think so.
Well, I do think that there's something to, like, listen, with the looking good on stage thing. Yes, there are many successful comedians, maybe the majority, who are not conventionally attractive or in good shape. But a comedian is on stage and you have to look at him and her for 45 minutes to an hour. And just, I feel like, going back to the anthropology, that like people are just more inclined to like looking at something they find aesthetically pleasing as opposed to someone that they don't.
I think that's true for men. I think if, as a woman, you could be too hot. Where you would remember we were saying like
maybe you've got to be you got to be like a good looking, not great looking type thing.
I do know a few comedians, I'm not going to name any names, that hide their big titties for that exact reason.
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah, because it's like unless you're doing a 10-minute set, unless you want to spend half of it being like, I know how big my tits are. You know what I mean?
He could get a lot out of that, I feel like, actually.
But yeah, man, life is good. We are about out of time, dude.
Oh, wow. That flew by.
Time flies when you're having fun. I feel like we learned a lot about you. We learned a lot about Jesus.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about Stephen Hofstetter. And those are the three people I wanted to cover.
Yeah. Related to each other. Yeah.
We'll definitely have you back on, dude, because I feel like we just scratch the surface.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Is the time for plugs. I'm going to keep in mind this comes out on the night of September 10th.
Right before September 11th.
Right before September 11th.
Okay.
It's my a way of making sure America heals, helping America heal.
This episode?
Yeah, because it's like, I know like a painful anniversary is coming up. So Ben Kirschenbaum, he's the guest.
Oh, it brings it back to Lincoln. Yeah. So, okay. Well, first, happy September 11th. I hope you got a good gift or whatever. And I have a podcast called Give Me a Name, which is a comedy history podcast. Often leans more on the history side than the comedy side. Bobby was an amazing guest. His episode's coming out soon, actually probably around the same time that this episode's coming out. Bobby talked about Abraham Lincoln. Every episode, a guest comes on to talk about a different dead person, historical figure that they find interesting. And please follow me on stuff.
Hell yeah. Follow him on stuff, guys. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. And folks, as always, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just playing night owls. You know I love you.